The Tiger 800 is one of Triumph's most popular bikes in India, and that's not surprising given how good this bike is at handling anything that comes its way. Now, however, Triumph have given it a big makeover, and we're here in beautiful Morocco to see what it's all about. Consider the new Tiger 800 as more of an update and refinement of the current formula rather than a completely new generation update. So while the base chassis and swing arm are the same, a lot of work has gone into other areas of the bike. So how much really has changed? Well, Triumph says there are over 200 changes made to this motorcycle, and a lot of them are in the style where almost every body panel apart from the tank is new. You've also got this easy adjustable windscreen, one hand up and down, new aerodynamics, and there are a lot of changes in the engine as well. But before we delve into the updates to the engine, let's explore what else is new on the Tiger 800. For starters, the headlamp is now full LED, but only on the top models. Thankfully, you do get those striking LED daytime running lamps on the middle models too. One of the bigger updates is the inclusion of a new 5-inch full-color TFT display on the mid and top spec models. This screen is similar to what we've seen on the Street Triple RS and the Tiger 1200, and it's a joy to behold and use via the new premium backlit switchgear. The seat also gets a new material, and it's one of the best I've experienced, with a soft feel on top and excellent support on long rides. Further improving the ergonomics is a handlebar that has been pulled back by 10 mm towards the rider. Both the top spec XRT and XCA models get heated rider and pillion seats as well as heated grips. Cruise control is standard on all models except for the base XR. The new windscreen is quite easy to adjust on the go, and the aerodynamics are good too, but there is a small amount of helmet buffeting that creeps in at higher speeds. Thankfully, the windscreen doesn't block out all the air, and a small but refreshing amount is allowed through towards the rider. The top-end road-biased XRT now gets a fully adjustable Showa front fork, while the XC models continue with their fully adjustable WP suspension. Braking also sees an upgrade in the form of new Brembo front calipers on the mid and top spec models. And now, let's get to what's new within the engine. The Tiger 800's engine still makes 95 horsepower, but there's a lot of work that's gone into the engine into making it more responsive and lighter feeling. It's got a shorter first gear ratio as well, and that results in better responsiveness. And finally, the exhaust system is now more compact, lighter, and it sounds a lot nicer. Among the many updates within the engine are a new crankshaft and a new clutch. In terms of the actual riding experience, the Tiger 800 remains delightfully familiar. Throttle response is smooth and mellow, and the engine continues to offer tremendous tractability. 6th gear is genuinely all you need upwards of 40 km per hour. A look at the torque curve will explain why this is possible. The motor produces over 70 Nm of torque all the way from 2500 rpm to 9500 rpm. The shorter first gear has resulted in slightly more eager acceleration and less requirement for clutch slip in low-speed off-road work. What's noticeably improved though is the freer revving feel within the motor. Considering that this engine is already renowned for its smoothness, it really is something that Triumph has further improved on both refinement and responsiveness. The Tiger 800 range is split into 6 different variants, but as before they're roughly split in half between the Tiger XC and the Tiger XR. Now this is the off-road biased version with a bigger 21-inch spoked wheel, whereas this is the road biased version with a 19-inch wheel. But the differences between these two go beyond just wheel size. The off-road spec XC, for example, gets longer suspension travel, more ground clearance, and as a result, a taller seat height. We had plenty of time on both the XRT and the XCA, each the top model in the XR and XC range respectively. Thanks to its smaller 19-inch front wheel, the XR is more agile and involving in the corners, and you soon get to the pace where you begin to scrape the rather low set foot peg feelers. The new Brembos offer good braking performance further in the lever travel, but the initial bite is fairly soft and tuned that way to go with the Tiger's off-road ambitions. However, hopping onto the XCA immediately highlights that this is the more comfortable road bike thanks to its longer travel suspension. The XCA also has more ground clearance, so it doesn't scrape its foot pegs quite as often. But the downside is that typically numb feel that comes off the large 21-inch front wheel, which means you won't end up pushing the bike as hard on the road. It's also worth considering that the XC has a taller seat height than the XR, and both seats can be raised by a further 20mm if the rider prefers a taller perch. Both the Tigers are not outright sports bike-like, but prove to be good fun on a winding road. Then again, that's not what they're all about. And on day 2 of our ride, we got to experience the XCA fitted with the optional Pirelli Scorpion Rally tires. This bike was a joy in the off-road terrain, with the suspension beautifully soaking up all manner of bumps and rocks, while the tires produce confidence-inspiring grip. Helping our expedition off the tarmac was the new Off-Road Pro mode. It essentially turns off all the electronic assists, including traction control and ABS, but you can modify the mode to offer different levels of intervention. The new Tiger doesn't get a lean angle sensing IMU, but it does offer up to 6 riding modes depending on the model you choose. Triumph isn't commenting on this just yet, but as with the last generation, the initial priority will probably be on the base road-biased XR and XRX models and the off-road focused XCX and XCA models. From our experience so far, the XC proves to be the more capable machine and one that better suits the role of an adventure bike. The only real downside is that its spoke rims don't support tubeless tires. The new Tiger should be in India in a few months' time, and we expect the price will be slightly higher than the outgoing models. How much though? Well, that depends on the decision Triumph India decides to take, considering how well BMW just priced the new F750 and F850 GS.
इसी कभी न रुकने वाले जुनून को रफ्तार देता है सर्वो वर्ल्ड क्लास लुब्रिकेंट्स।